guys, welcome back to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing an original book tag to wrap up and reflect on the Social Distance Bookfest. As the creator and manager of the Social Distance Bookfest, along with an amazing team of organizers, I thought it would be cool to do something after the fact for anybody who was involved, went to one of the panels, or interacted with us around the Social Distance Bookfest as a way of reflecting on how it went and what you took away from it. If you were there the day of, if you watched the replay videos, which I will link down below, we have a whole playlist of all of the live panels, which were really, really amazing. But if you've been involved in any way, I would invite you to do this book tag as a way of reflecting on it and sharing the event with our wider community. Question number one is share a new author or book that you want to check out after watching the panels. Obviously, there are many of them, but one that I wanted to mention because it was one that wasn't really on my radar before is The Sin Eater by Meagan Campisi. She was on the panel with Mara from Books Like Whoa about thrillers and mysteries, and she was just so interesting to listen to, and hearing her talk about the process of writing her book, and I don't even know exactly what it's about. I have heard good things about it, but now I'm like interested in picking up her book after having heard her talk about it on a panel, which I just think is interesting to me. Sometimes that happens where I'll hear authors speak and be like, you're so interesting, I need to read the things that you write. And that was one that kind of stood out to me. Next is share one of the most entertaining panels that you watched. These are so hard for me to pick because all the panels, I mean, I'm biased, but like I thought all of them were pretty good. But the one that I wanted to mention is the New Voices in YA SFF panel. It was so much fun, and it was clear that all of the authors really like loved each other and were excited about each other's work, and they were just so like joyful and happy to watch and funny and excited about like the books they were writing and the books their friends were writing, and it was lovely. So I would definitely recommend checking that one out. Question 3 is share one of the most interesting or insightful panels that you saw. And I mean, honestly, every panel had interesting things going on with it, but I really want to highlight 2 of our romance panels that I think did a great job of tapping into some really interesting topics in very insightful ways. Those are the Diversifying Romance panel hosted by Bree Hill and the Tackling Gender, Consent, and Toxic Masculinity in Romance panel hosted by Amanda from The Naughty Librarian. I just thought that both of those panels were so fantastic and so interesting. They had a great group of authors with a lot of really insightful things to say about romance today, the ways that it's been in the past, the way it is moving forward, and variations in it. So I would definitely recommend both of those, especially if you're a romance reader. I just thought there were so many great things happening in those panels. Question 4 is share one of the softest or sweetest panels that you watch. And hands down, especially in the comments, this is gonna go to the BookTube panel, so you wanna start a BookTube channel. This one was hosted by Rachel Marie, who was wonderful, and all of the booktubers were wonderful. They were funny and entertaining, but also they were just so sweet and kind about each other, about people in the booktube community. There was so much love, and in the comments section, there was so much love. It was just like the sweetest, cutest thing, and I wish I could have been like fully invested in it, but I was like hopping between panels and managing the event. But that was definitely probably the softest panel that I watched. Question 5 is name an author that after watching them on a panel you kind of wish you could be friends with. And for me, I think this is Alekia Dow. She's a debut YA author. Her book sounds amazing, first of all, but I just loved her energy on the panel that she had and the way she was like gushing about books and talking insightfully about things, and I was like, you're so cute and I would want to be your friend. And so that would be my pick. I mean, there could be others, but I'm gonna go with Alekia Dow. So let me know which author, after interacting with them or watching them on a panel, you're like, I want to be your friend, because, you know, we all probably have one. Question 6 is name an author that you would like to hear more from. After hearing them talk on a panel, you were like, this person is so interesting. I want to hear them talk about more things. I want to hear more of their perspective on stuff. And the author that I'm picking for this is Namina Forna. She's another YA fantasy debut author. Her book got pushed back to 2021, The Gilded Ones, but I'm super excited about it. And especially after hearing her talk on her panel, it was so interesting. There was a lot that I didn't know about it. She is an immigrant from Sierra Leone to the United States. And I think she might have been a refugee from wartime violence violence. So she talked about being exposed to that as a child and wanting to be able to write about those things in a way that allowed young people to address their trauma, but in a way that gave a little bit more distance through a fantasy world. And I thought that was so cool and so interesting. I've talked on my channel before about the fact that I prefer reading harder, grittier topics in sci-fi fantasy than in contemporary because I need that fantasy element as a buffer for me to be able to deal with the trauma that I'm reading about. And so it was really interesting hearing an author talk about it that way, as this being a way of processing trauma in a way that is less immediate. Anyway, she was just super interesting to hear about. I'm excited to read her book, but also I would love to hear more from her. I was like, tell me more. I want to hear more of your thoughts. So she was definitely one that was interesting. Question 7 is share something that surprised you. And this could be anything about the weekend, about a panel, whatever you want to share. For me, I think one of the biggest sort of surprises, and I don't know if this should have been a surprise, but I was surprised and excited at the response that everybody had, from the panelists and the authors to the hosts and the people that watched the panels. There was just like an overwhelming amount of love and appreciation that was shared on Twitter and social media after the fact, and it was like, I mean, I think it made me and the rest of the team like want to cry. I'm sure some of us probably did cry at how much like love and appreciation came out of it. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and with how much time and love we poured into the event, that was just so amazing and exciting. And I also just loved how people stepped in when it was necessary and kept right on going. There was a moment on a panel that I was watching that was also a really interesting panel. I mean, all the panels were interesting, so how do you pick them? But anyway, there was one about Latinx fantasy, and there was a glitch where the host popped out of the chat and the authors just like kept going, and she popped back in like a minute later and everything was fine, but the authors were like, oh, we'll just like keep answering the question and like keep going and not worry about it. And I just loved that. I loved the way that they kind of didn't lose steam, kept things going. You're gonna get technical issues when you're doing things virtually, and I just, yeah, that was amazing. So those are the things that were very wonderful, touching, pleasant surprises. Okay, here's the big question, question number 8, and you can answer this one of 3 different ways. So after the Social Distance Book Fest, or through watching panels on it, how many books did you buy, request from your library, or add to your Goodreads TBR? Any of the above count. I am just going to talk about the number that I bought. I know that's not an option for everybody. There were many others that are now on my wish list, but I bought 4. And let me tell you, it was hard not to buy more. I will probably eventually buy more. One I already have, The Wolf of Oren-Yaro by K.S. Vioso. This one I bought and have in my possession. The others were pre-orders. One I knew I was going to pre-order anyway, but I did it through the Social Distance Book Fest. So I pre-ordered Lightbringer by Claire Legrand, which is the final book in her Imperium YA fantasy trilogy, which I love a whole lot. I pre-ordered Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne Brown, who was on my panel, because it sounds super interesting, and especially after hearing her talk about it, I was very excited for it. I also pre-ordered another book by a person on my panel, which is The Jealousy of Jalis by Jessie Nolan Bailey. It's like a little bit of a tongue twister. Is that 4? Yeah, that's 4. So those are the ones that I've bought. There are quite a number of others that I want to buy, but I'm trying to pace myself, guys. Like, there are so many books that I want after hearing these authors talk about them that just sound incredible, but like my wallet can't handle it. So I'm gonna like pace it. Eventually you'll I mean, I'm clearly gonna get Where Dreams Descend by Janelle Angeles, because I had the ARC and loved it. I mean, there will be more, but for now we're gonna say 4 officially. How about you? My final question, which is one that I would love to hear from anybody who does this tag about, is what was your experience with the Social Distance Book Fest like, and would you attend something like this again in the future? We are in talks about maybe doing this again in 2021, and maybe doing some little mini events during the year. I would love to hear your feedback. So tag me on Twitter or Instagram or wherever if you do this video so I can hear from you. I would love to hear your response to it. But also, what was your experience like? I know for me as an organizer, it was stressful and busy, but also amazing. I was like on an adrenaline high all day long, and then totally crashed. So that was what it was like for me, but I would love to hear from you guys. I know anecdotally we've gotten some people on Twitter and Instagram sharing that this was their first time getting to do a bookish event, either because of geography, like where they live, because of finances, or even because of social anxiety, and that is just really cool to hear. So I would love to hear from you also about what your experience was like. That is it for me today. Talk to me in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the tag. I hope you will do it yourselves as well. And if you don't want to do the tag and you just want to answer some of these questions in the comments, you can do that as well. Also, my children just got back from being outside for a little bit, so excuse the noise. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.